Colleen Ritzer was described as passionate, kind, and inspiring by everyone around her. She dreamed of becoming a teacher ever since she was a kid. Her need to help and inspire others, combined with her passion for math, led her to become a 9th grade math teacher at Danvers High School, where she'd been teaching for a year. Colleen really enjoyed the time with her students, with the feeling being mutual from them. She would often stay after hours if any one of them needed extra help, and would regularly post puzzles and math problems on her school media pages for her students to solve. Colleen loved her family just as much as her students. Living with her parents, she was involved in everything her family did. But in October 2013, everything changed. Colleen went missing, only later to be found dead in the nearby woods, with a handwritten note next to her body. Today's story begins in Danvers, Massachusetts, a suburb close to Boston. Danvers was originally known as Salem Village, a place infamous for its association with the 1692 Salem witch trials. About 60 years after the trials, Salem Village changed its name to Danvers. The town was also home to Danvers State Hospital, also known as Danvers Lunatic Asylum. It was a psychiatric hospital that was built in 1878, but despite being included in the National Register of Historic Places, it was demolished in 2007. Another grim tale would be added to the town's history on October 22, 2013. The day started normal as usual for Colleen Ritzer, who arrived at Danvers High School a little before 7 a.m., like she always would. She taught classes all day, with the last class ending at around 2 p.m., but she stayed overtime with a couple of students, Philip and Autumn. Colleen can be seen leaving the classroom and talking to fellow math teacher Sarah, who was wearing the same outfit as her since it was a dress like your friend day at the school. Colleen then returned to the classroom to announce to the two students she will be leaving soon, and with that, Autumn began to pack up her school books. Shortly before leaving the classroom, Autumn told Colleen how much she liked her and how nice of a person she is. With Autumn now gone, Philip is the only student still left in the room, as he didn't leave for his soccer practice yet. At 2:54 p.m., Colleen left the classroom and went to the bathroom. That was the last time she would be seen alive. It was now getting dark, and Colleen still hadn't come home, which made her parents get worried. After trying to call her numerous times with no answer, they called Colleen's friends, thinking she might have gone out for a drink with them, but were disappointed to learn they were not with her, and nobody knew of her whereabouts. After trying everything they could to reach their daughter, Colleen's father, Tom, drove up to the school as a last resort. There in the school parking lot, Tom saw Colleen's car, still where she parked that morning, even though the school day ended hours ago. Her father asked the school staff if they'd seen her around, but nobody did. At 11:20 p.m., he called the police, and Colleen Ritzer was officially declared a missing person. Ironically, Tom Ritzer wasn't the only parent who reported their child missing that day in Danvers. At 6:34 p.m., a woman named Diana Chism also called the police to report her 14-year-old son, Philip Chism, missing. Diana and her son Philip just moved to Danvers about 2 months prior. Philip was a rather quiet kid and didn't make any friends yet in his new town, so his mother didn't know where he might have gone. All she knew was he was supposed to come home immediately after soccer practice. What she also didn't know, however, is that her son Philip didn't even attend soccer practice that day. His coach, Mike Chase, noticed that Philip was missing not only from practice, but also from the team's meal. A couple of hours after Diana Chism reported her son missing, at around 9 p.m., the school principal sent out a mass email to all faculty members stating that a student had gone missing. Around that time, he received a phone call from Sarah, another math teacher at the school, the same woman seen talking to Colleen on the camera footage. Colleen's parents called Sarah to ask if she'd seen their daughter, but she sadly replied no. With Sarah now anxiously worried, she contacted the principal to tell him she'd last seen Colleen with the missing student and it seemed quite odd that now both of them were missing. Police were now dealing with two missing persons who seemingly vanished from the same place at the same time. They traced both Colleen's and Philip's phones to their last known location. Colleen's phone led them to a spot that was a 25-minute walk from Danvers High School. Philip's phone led them to a local movie theater. At 4:30 p.m. he'd gone to see a Woody Allen movie called Blue Jasmine, but of course when police showed up at the cinema, Philip was long gone. While police searched the streets, they were also going through the surveillance footage at the school. It showed Colleen and Philip together. They saw Colleen coming out of the classroom and entering the girls' bathroom with Philip right behind her. Police rushed to check the bathroom, and upon entering they saw blood smears everywhere. A search around the perimeters was called, and after a short while, Colleen's purse was found. But it had been emptied. Fast forwarding to the middle of the night, at around 12:30 a.m. someone made a call to the police about a boy walking alone in the nearby town of Topsfield. When police showed up, they realized the lone pedestrian was the 14-year-old missing student, Philip Chism. After bringing Philip into the police station, they searched his bag and found a bloody box cutter, female panties, and Colleen's credit cards, school ID card, and driver's license. Philip said he stole the items from a car, and when asked where the blood on the box cutter came from, Philip simply replied, "The girl." Philip was then transferred to the Danvers police station where he was reunited with his mother, but chose to speak to police officers without her by his side. While police were questioning Philip, at around 3 a.m., police found the body of Colleen Ritzer in the wooded area near the school. She was naked from the waist down, with her top pulled up and her bra pulled down. She had been placed in a graphic position and had been sexually assaulted with a tree branch that was still inside her when the police found her body. She was stabbed in the neck, strangled, and raped. According to the pathologist, the cause of death was from both asphyxiation and stab wounds. Asphyxia by strangulation as well as the sharp force injuries are both lethal in their own right and separately. I couldn't be certain. Again, we talked about the sequence with which injuries occur. I couldn't be certain whether the asphyxia occurred and then the decedent lived through that episode. Therefore, I combined them as essentially a hybrid cause of death, the pathologist says. Police also found a handwritten note next to her body with the words, "I hate you all." From that point moving forward, there was nothing Philip could say to the police that would change their mind as to who the killer is. The camera footage at the high school also showed Philip changing his clothes after attacking Colleen in the second-floor bathroom. A female student can be seen entering the bathroom at 3:06 p.m. while both Philip and Colleen were still inside. The student, however, quickly turns around and leaves. She later revealed that upon entering the bathroom, she saw someone's bare backside and left just as quickly as she'd entered. She claims that the person's skin was darker than her own, and there was a pile of clothes on the ground, pointing towards the fact that she saw Philip changing his clothes after assaulting and possibly murdering Colleen. We say possibly because some detectives claim Colleen was murdered in the school bathroom, while others claim she died from blood loss later on. Neither observation changes the fact. After Philip changed his clothes, he is seen exiting the bathroom and coming back at 3:14 p.m. Only this time, wheeling a big black trash can with him. He enters the bathroom with it, and after stuffing Colleen inside like a doll, rolls the trash can out of the bathroom, out of the school, and finally into the woods. Philip was not stopped by staff members, questioned, or noticed. He returned about 25 minutes later, changed his clothes again, and left the school. As we know by now, he went to see a movie at the local cinema, and after that wandered the streets of Topsfield until he was finally caught by the police. Police were now looking for the trash can that Philip was seen carrying Colleen in, but it wouldn't take them long to find it. About 20 yards from where Colleen's body was found, police also stumbled upon the trash can along with bloody gloves and clothing. After analyzing the footage, talking to Philip, and finding Colleen's body and belongings, police were certain that Philip Chism was the murderer of Colleen Ritzer. But what could lead to a 14-year-old boy committing such a horrific crime? The whole truth may never be known, although there has been more than one theory. The first one suggests that Colleen triggered Philip somehow by using a word that he was vulnerable to. As we mentioned previously, Philip and his mother moved from Clarksville, Tennessee to Danvers, Massachusetts. The reason being was the rough divorce his parents were going through at that time. Philip strongly expressed his unwillingness to move from Clarksville, but didn't have a choice, and thus started hating Danvers and the school he was placed in. Fellow student Autumn, who was in the same room as both Colleen and Philip, recalls Philip's odd behavior that day. She remembers Colleen talking to Philip, asking him questions about Tennessee. She says that this particular topic visibly upset Philip, and when Colleen noticed, she immediately changed the topic. She says Colleen was talking to him in a very kind manner, trying to make him comfortable, but it didn't seem to work as Philip was mumbling and muttering something to himself under his breath. This particular theory was later used in court to somehow justify what Philip had done after he pled not guilty to the charges of murder, aggravated rape, and armed robbery. Due to a law in their state, anyone above 14 years of age who is charged with murder is tried as an adult. Philip Chism was tried as an adult on the murder charge, but as a juvenile on the charges of armed robbery and aggravated rape. Philip also faced charges for attempted murder when he attacked a service worker, causing her to suffer injuries to her jaw, neck, and back. In 2015, Philip went to trial for the murder of Colleen Ritzer. While in court, his lawyers argued that the event happened due to a psychotic episode caused by Colleen mentioning Tennessee, rather than denying his involvement in the murder. They urged the jury to find him not guilty due to reasons of insanity. A psychiatrist who was hired by the defense also claimed that Philip might have schizophrenia, and that should be taken into account. In his statement, he says, "I made 2 diagnoses. One was a depressive state, best described in my view as a major depressive state, and another was a brief or transient psychotic episode." His claims were debunked by a doctor hired by the prosecution, who states that Philip Chism was deliberately trying to seem severely mentally ill. This wouldn't even be necessary, as the theory of a psychotic episode cancelled itself out, as Philip had brought a box cutter, gloves, and spare clothes to school that day, meaning he'd already made the decision before Colleen made the comment about Tennessee, and thus the jury rejected the insanity defense that Philip's lawyers tried to present. Despite all the evidence, Philip Chism could not be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, as the state's law doesn't allow it. This court will impose the mandatory life sentence for the murder of Colleen Ritzer and set a parole eligibility date of 25 years, the highest level our law allows. The Ritzers are currently in a battle against a bill that would eliminate life without parole for all inmates no matter the charges. The Ritzers testified against the bill on Tuesday, October 12, 2021. Tom Ritzer spoke against the bill, saying, "This is just wrong. This guy planned what he was going to do. He took Colleen's life. She's not getting her life back. He shouldn't get his life back." Colleen Ritzer was a woman who loved helping, inspiring, and teaching, and she will never get to experience any of this again. The number of lives she touched, the friends she made, and the lives she impacted were obvious. Over 1,000 people attended Colleen's funeral to pay their respect. A campaign was started by a friend of Colleen's that encourages people to do at least one act of kindness on October 22nd in Colleen's honor and share it. Her family also had a way of honoring Colleen, as they created the Colleen Ritzer Memorial Fund that would raise more than $370,000 and help over 80 future teachers get their teaching degrees. This is a way for Colleen's friends and family to keep Colleen's memory alive and continue to do what she was already doing before her passing. This was a terribly disturbing and devastating case that tragically ended the life of the truly kind, passionate, and inspiring Colleen Ritzer. If you liked this video, don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.